Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the 2022 Garden State Film Festival, celebrating the 20th anniversary.
20 years, that's crazy.
20th anniversary here in beautiful Asbury Park. My name is Ming Chen.
CJ Cullen.
Sophia Haber-Brock.
And I'm here with an amazing filmmaker. He peeked his head in and he's like, hey, man, what's going on in there? It's like, well, we're podcasting with amazing filmmakers. You look like an amazing filmmaker.
Thank you,
and,
sir.
please introduce yourself and your film.
My name is Joey Napoli, and the film is American Rackets.
Okay, Rackets spelled Rackets.
Correct.
Okay,
Short for racketeering.
Okay, I was like, wow, is this movie about, I was like, tennis
rackets?
Like,
Yeah.
no, that would be a totally
sport,
different
No
number.
sports here.
Yeah, for sure. And when are you screening?
Tonight at 8:30 at the Jersey Shore Arts Center.
Yeah, that's amazing. Where's the elevator pitch for your film?
Okay, so it goes, my dad and my grandfather were both made men in the Genovese crime family.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
You got me. I want to watch this right now.
I know. Can we get? Is it 8:30 yet?
Yeah, 8:30.
Okay.
Yeah, and in 1988, they were arrested for an alleged plot to kill John Gotti.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So dad is still alive. Grandfather died many years ago. Dad's in town. He'll be at the screening. His name is Rocco Napoli. So he was kind of made for this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. So you were in the life. Like your family was in the life.
Yeah. Not me, like per se, but he went away. He did 7 years.
Yeah.
He kept his mouth shut.
Right.
So he's still with us, and he continues to keep his mouth shut. But I got to interview him for this doc, and I was able to touch on some real life things that happened without offering up too much new information.
Okay. So you got enough out of him.
I did.
Okay.
And other people, about 40 interviews in total. From politicians to law enforcement, feds, ex gangster guys, guys that are on the street.
I gotta ask, how did you do that? We know I've watched enough movies. Omerta, right? Silence.
Mm-hmm.
We learn in Goodfellas.
Sure.
All the movies. Keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your mouth shut. You're good.
Yeah.
How were you able to get any information out of these?
So it was a very public trial in '88.
Okay.
A high profile. Rudy Giuliani prosecuted him.
Okay.
And the judge in his trial was Donald Trump's sister, Marianne Trump.
Okay.
Barrett.
Yeah.
So I was able to. The footage was amazing. That was available to me because of that. So I was able to just recreate what already happened,
Right.
without again offering up new information. Or he was acquitted of many things, and we want to keep it that way.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
yeah.
charged with racketeering, gambling, bribery, all that good
Right,
stuff.
but you didn't do it unless you've been formally charged and then convicted.
Yes.
Then if you're not
Yeah.
convicted, then
There's no statute of limitations on conspiracy or murder.
Yeah, for sure.
So what made you come up with, I'm going to do this? Were you a filmmaker before that?
So I went to film school in my early 20s
Okay.
in New York, from Secaucus, New Jersey. So I had the city accessible to me, and I always had a passion for the story. I just never knew how to go about it.
Okay.
I've been in Los Angeles now 20 years, and you meet people, filmmakers, friends. You start to pave the way for what you want to do. You just don't know you're doing it.
Right.
Yeah. And then about 6 years ago, I started this process. So it's taken me, like COVID, like everybody else, it backed me up 2 years. But here I am, and I got it in the Garden State Film Festival, where I'm from.
Yeah, I mean, we assumed you were from Jersey, but
Yeah, really?
I
What
mean,
gave it away?
Yeah.
Why did you want to tell your father's story?
Again, I guess it's a great story. I knew I could do it because it was my family, it was accessible. But if and when you see the doc, it's just a really interesting story. It's a very human story because he was never meant or supposed. Sorry, I'm going to get teary-eyed. He was the one kid that my grandfather tried to keep away, but ultimately, very Godfather-esque. He had to come in because my grandfather got busted. But my dad's a Vietnam vet. He was a lot of things before he did any of this. So I was like, that's a story I would want to see.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, I watch too many movies, but it's easy to get sucked in. It's the life. It's until you get caught or whacked or you got a target on your back. It's not a bad life from.
No,
from what
as
I
my
saw.
dad would tell you, he was he's always been a humble guy, classy.
Yeah.
But when he got into it in the 70s, his head got really fat.
Okay.
He started to live that bravado.
Right.
Still classy, still respectful, but he bought into it, and he drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
He got a taste of it, and he went a little too far with it, which is I got busted.
It's a sweet taste. I've never got to taste it, but from what I've seen, it's pretty sweet.
You know,
taste.
I like money.
Oh yeah, I like money. I don't. Yeah, I always think the scene in Goodfellas where he goes through the back of the Copa and they
Absolutely.
put his own table down in front of
For a
everybody else.
filmmaker's scene, that the way that they shot that is
Yeah.
such a filmmaker.
We were actually able to use part of that scene in the doc.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, a clip. Well, because my dad was a union delegate.
Okay.
And if you know the line, she says to him, "What do you do for a living?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "I'm in construction."
Yeah.
She goes, "Your hands don't feel like it." He goes, "Well, I'm a union delegate."
Yes,
Right. Oh, okay.
exactly.
That's okay. That
And
was it.
So that's like the punchline. And my dad was a union delegate, the head of his union for 20 years. He had no opposition. No one
Right.
ran against him.
Wow, that's amazing. Do you remember the day you woke up? I was like, I think I might want to do this. Like, I think.
Yeah.
Like, is this many years in the making?
So my
or-
director, Josh Weber,
Okay.
he did a documentary about his grandparents. They were Holocaust survivors.
Okay.
And we had worked on several things together. And when he did that about 10 years ago now, I said, that's exactly what I want to do. Now I know how to do it. And that's what we
You're
started.
traded more on documentary filmmaking.
No. This this was to get my foot in the door, or to get the story. You know, making a film, making a series, writing a pilot. You know, it's like throwing a rock in the water. And I felt like either writing a book or writing a short story or making a documentary. That was my way to get people interested in it.
Now that you did a documentary on the real life of this stuff, would you ever write like a fictionalized, like a Goodfellas?
So I have actually written this as a TV series.
Okay.
Oh, wow, okay.
That's kind of what I'm doing here. So I was fortunate. I've sold the film. I have distribution. I got it in October.
Great.
So it's up on Amazon and Apple and Vudu. They allowed me to still submit to the festival because Garden State, New Jersey, they
Right.
wanted as much.
Right. I
publicity
mean, it's
as
a free publicity
Exactly.
for sure. So I mean, it's really good publicity for
yeah,
sure.
Sure. And so it was. Where was I going with?
Yeah, selling the
Got
film,
distribution.
got distribution.
Yes. So this was a nice sort of cherry on top because again being from the area and being able to showcase it here.
Yeah, I was about to ask that. Garden State Film Festival, 20 years. It's the biggest one in the area and one of the best ones in the country.
Agreed.
I wouldn't feel like, hey, what you're in, we want you to show this here. How did it feel?
Well, it was and again, because with COVID, you didn't know the options
Yeah.
were like getting slim and limited. And when this had Diane, when we reached out to her, her first thing was like, "Are you sure you're allowed to screen it?" Because of the distribution. Yeah. And I said yes. She said, "We want it.
Okay.
It's we want to put it in." So it worked out, and if you look at one bad thing to a good thing, that 2-year layoff, if that didn't happen, I probably wouldn't be sitting here.
Right. When did you start shooting footage for this?
It was like 2015-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 7 years in the making.
Yeah, we sat down with my dad for the first time and started to formulate the story. And then I met a archivist researcher in New York,
Okay.
Luann Jones, and she supplied me with things I had never seen: video, pictures,
Yeah, so
FBI surveillance.
Wow, she did a lot of legwork. It's like,
Yes.
hey, I just found this footage.
Yeah.
Was he willing right away to tell a story, or was it difficult to put it all together with what he told?
It was really. I did interviews. I had no idea where I was going with it. In a way, I didn't know exactly what the narrative was. I knew what I had. I knew the players involved. There's a lot of big names. High profile from Trump to Giuliani, but I didn't know yet. It took a long time to put those together in a way where I wasn't just trying to prop up their names. Yeah. I had to get more of a story around my dad because he is the story.
Yeah.
But it was not easy to just pinpoint how do we want to portray him because he's not he's my dad, but
Yes,
he's not a nice guy. He's done bad things, and I made that very evident. I didn't try to prop him up as
no sugarcoating.
no sugar.
Okay.
Look, he did some things. He went away for it. There's some things he didn't go away for. So he's fortunate in that sense. Some of the other guys on his trial got 80 years.
Yeah. So basically, life sentences.
Life. There's still 2 of them are still in jail.
Okay.
2 gentlemen, which is why in the doc we're not allowed to use any of the wiretaps.
Right,
when
'cause you're- okay.
Yeah, the Freedom of Information Act. They won't supply certain things if some of the gentlemen are still serving time
Okay.
for that crime. Yeah, which I learned along the way.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And you learned a lot about law and in this process. Did you know anything about it before this? Or?
I knew how to break. No, I know how to break it. I learned a lot about the legal sense of filmmaking. Because delivering a film, contracts, certain elements of that. But as far as I kind of knew the law because as a kid,
Yeah.
my dad, he was in the paper for a year, so we learned at a young age like what was going on. Yeah.
Did you get any pushback from any members of your immediate family or the family that's
so
like, oh man, you can't do this?
I have some uncles, and they weren't pleased, or one was not pleased. The other one was he was also, God rest his soul. He was trying to also. He wrote a book. It was called My Father, My Don.
Okay.
And it covers what he believes happened, and it's just, as my dad would say, it's a little inaccurate.
Okay, it's a viewpoint.
It's a viewpoint.
It may
yes.
have, maybe some embellishment.
Well, he did
here
what
and
I didn't
there.
want to do. He propped up because my grandfather's a big story part
Yeah.
of it. He made him out to be like this huge gangster and with like all this glitz and glamour, and he was like a big figure, but he was very hush hush.
Okay.
He wasn't flashy. He was classy without being flashy.
Right.
He was
All
a
right.
gentleman.
Didn't flaunt it, and that's
Exactly.
I think that's how you.
So he was trying to Hollywoodize it a little bit.
That's what. Yeah. That's kind of, again, I haven't read the book, and I we'll leave it at that. But that's what people have told me. It kind of portrays my grandfather in a way that it's inaccurate.
Okay.
So
you say what? Amazon, Hulu, Vudu.
Yeah, so Shout Studios is my distributor,
Okay.
and they got it on. Currently, it's Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Google Play, Vudu, and YouTube.
And this available now?
It is available now.
Oh wow. Okay. All right.
Yes.
So if you can't make it to the screening,
Yes.
I mean, obviously, if you're here, or if you're anywhere
Sure.
near Asbury this weekend,
Please.
Come tonight.
Come see the screening, right?
Yeah,
Gary
absolutely.
Pastor is actually going
He is.
to be
He's,
there.
he's
hosting.
gonna. I was hanging out with him last night. He's gonna be.
He was a little crazy last night,
He
but
was
yes.
tired. He was feeling he was feeling that age. He's like, I gotta go to bed. It's time to
Right.
go to bed.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's gonna be hosting tonight.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so you got but somewhat of a member of.
Well, him
of
and my dad knew his dad.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
okay, they're
Yeah,
friends.
we went through it. His dad's name was Freddie the Gimp. That was.
was
he said it to
his
my
name.
dad. He goes, "I know Freddie the Gimp."
Freddie the Gimp. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's a
thought
hell-
everybody knew Freddie
Yeah.
the Gimp.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Do you know roughly how many hours of footage that you had to whittle
I
it
had-
down to, and how long was
I had a good. I had like 7 or 8 hours of footage.
Okay.
That was just interviews.
Right.
Which whittled down to an hour as I presented to
Yeah.
companies. But then Shout, they wanted me to add 20 minutes. So right now it stands at 1 hour and 24 minutes.
Okay, that's a tight runtime
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it was amazing. I'm glad you decided to tell this. I know.
Thank you.
I don't. Probably wasn't easy.
It's been an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah,
Even here
for
talking
sure.
about it, I get choked up.
Yeah, I see that, and I love when people do things on their parents, good or bad. You always learn something.
Sure.
And you learn, it's like, oh man, that's why I do that. And
I still learn. I learn things from him. Well, I find out things later on because he went to jail for not talking.
Right.
So he's very reserved.
Yes.
But he's 76 now, so he's opened up in certain areas like things, and he'll say things, and I'm like, that's what that was when I was 12. He's like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
it
it's like,
wasn't
oh,
this.
that's why you left for 3 days.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, like,
So interesting.
now it all makes sense. That's amazing. I think this is amazing. Did you have any other questions?
No, it's just great that you told this story. I feel like this is like the best type of documentary, like telling a
Agreed.
heartfelt family story like that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and
This is great.
not for nothing that my dad was not in a pretty big crime family on the East Coast, like one of the biggest crime families, and so it's I'm glad that you're sharing your story with the
You
world.
said your dad?
No, he wasn't.
Oh,
He
I'm like, no, he
wasn't.
wasn't. My dad went to college in Minnesota. I think that's I thought as far as I know, but maybe he did. But
Yeah. Hey.
But and if he did, I don't know if I could get together and actually tell a story. So
I was just talking to people, being a filmmaker, and my dad is getting older. I wanted to interview him about like growing up in the Bronx as a kid. Never got the chance to do that yet, so I'm getting ready to do that with my parents as they're
Sure.
almost in their 80s. So I think that's great that you're able
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah. It was. It brought us closer, and at times it's 7 years we were doing this. My dad and I have. There's been a year where we didn't talk.
Sure.
We almost got into a fight. Like I'm his son, so we clashed, we bang heads. We've had moments, but
Right.
thankfully we've been able to amend, always and not go too long.
Right.
And I value that now, because look, like you said, your parents are almost 80. How much longer do they have?
Right.
The time is limited, so I'm glad it was a learning process, as a filmmaker,
Right.
but also like as a son.
That's
Were you able
amazing.
to talk to your grandfather about it at all?
No, so Jimmy Knapp died in '92.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I had again my other uncle. Well, two of my uncles, they wouldn't do an interview.
Yeah,
they
they're,
they didn't want to.
They're following the code. I get
yeah.
it.
But my oldest brother is he's 7 years older than me, so he's a great catalyst in the doc. He's able to fill in a lot of gaps that my dad's story and his together, they ping pong very
Okay.
well with each other. Yeah.
It's amazing. Do you have a website? Is there social media?
I do.
Okay,
Yes.
go for it.
So my website is True Grit Films.
Okay.
And from that you can follow all of it.
All right, fantastic. And again, tonight, did you say 8:30 at the Jersey Shore,
8:30,
at the
yes.
Jersey Shore Arts Center?
Yeah, there's 2 shorts before it. I believe it'll probably start about 9 p.m.
Okay, fantastic.
Exact. Yeah.
Amazing. Have a great screening. Congratulations on getting distribution.
Thank you, guys.
And I know you're working on a TV series and beyond. Whatever you're working on, we're
I want to be I want to do what Sylvester Stallone is doing with Rocky.
Yes.
He's still making Rocky films.
Still
50
making
years
Rocky.
later.
is, and then you got the Creed spin-offs, and they're still going
Expendables.
strong.
A musical.
He's doing more
Yeah, a
Expendables.
musical.
Well, just on the Rocky thing alone, I mean, he has stretched that as 50 years.
Yeah.
If I could be making something like this for 50 years.
Oh, yeah.
8 films, right? If you include Creed, 8 films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's even a cartoon somewhere. But that's the goal is to take this as far as I can, but ultimately like a film or a series, is the end game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you, Mr. Napoli. American
Thank you, guys.
Rackets again tonight, 8:30 at the Jersey Shore Arts Center, and the films continue on all day today, all day tomorrow. 2022 Garden State Film Festival.
Garden State.
And gsff.org for tickets and info. Come see the film, man. It sounds incredible. So
Thank you.
Thank you so much for
you,
stopping by,
guys.
my friends. And we'll see you guys later. Thank you, guys.